No, it's his dad.
His dad. That's what I meant. Yeah, his dad. But like real old.
Yeah. Eddie Lai with the dub last night.
What's that?
Eddie shipped DK last night.
Eddie Lai did?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
People don't know those guys are behind the scenes working on the tools too.
I know. Meanwhile, I get 2 in the top 50 and it doesn't matter.
Well, you're getting close. Yeah.
That doesn't help.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stochastic.com NBA strategy show presented by Bet365. Dave Loughran at Lafayette_D on the Twitters, joined by Josh Engleman at Josh Engleman, breaking down a 3-game slate today. Ready to have some fun. How you feeling, man?
Feel good. Got a really good night's sleep. I don't know what time I fell asleep, sometime in the middle of that Golden State Sacramento game, but feeling refreshed. Don't have the feeling of a few cocktails in me like I did for the morning yesterday. So I'm much more recharged. Today's my Monday.
Good. Hey, you know what? You still got plenty of days till Sunday again to fully recharge.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm buying into that auto sleep app you recommend. Like, I look at it every day.
Okay.
And I don't know. I certain days, dude, did I tell you the other day? Adam was on the show with me. Here's how I know it's not fully fraudulent. I don't think I told you this. So I wake up, I do the mindfulness thing. I do the breath thing. I do the breathing when I wake up because it more accurately tracks your readiness, right?
Yep. That gets your heart rate variability set.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting like 48 on a lot of days. Feels good on the wake up.
No idea.
A heart
I don't
rate.
do it.
Oh, you don't do it. Anyway.
Oh,
Okay.
48 beats per minute, you mean? I thought you were talking about the
Yeah.
heart rate variability. I was like, yeah, I don't know those numbers, dude.
Yeah. Okay. So I do that the one day. I had definitely had some drinks the night before, get up pretty early. I look at it and it's the first time, well, a couple times, but this is like the first time I really looked and it was pinned to the bottom. And you know how it'll say like optimal, great, normal, this, and then it says rest.
Yeah.
So mine's pinned to the bottom. It just says rest.
Yeah.
I'm walking down the steps looking at it. I fall down the steps too. And I go, all right, well, it must not be completely illegitimate. But some days I just feel so much better and it tells me I don't. And I worry that there's a psychological impact on that where I look at it and it's telling me like, it's okay, not great, readiness, whatever. I'm not getting the jet fuel when it tells me what my, sleep fuel was. But then I take the dog out for a walk. I get my morning stretches in and I feel good.
Yeah. Your best bet is actually to look at it after you've done some shit.
Really?
Like
it changes?
No. But like when you wake up, like your mind, if you wake up and immediately look at it, your mind will try to like take that with you.
That's
take
what I
like
mean.
an hour, take an hour, start your day, evaluate how you feel, and then see how much it matches up. But like, yeah, yesterday when I woke up, 71 beats per minute through sleep. Like I was
dude, that's wild.
That's the booze.
That's how
man.
you know you were drinking.
That's the booze. What do you want me to do there? And I didn't even have that much to drink, honestly.
But the dip was probably like 10,
Yeah, it wasn't great. Honestly, like I really didn't have that much to drink.
You don't even have to. Like if you don't drink at all.
And it was over a couple, multiple hours too.
Yeah, if you don't drink at all and you get a good night's sleep, you'll get the nice like in the 40s sometimes. I'll drop it down to like 47 sometimes.
When I can crack the 50 barrier, I'm just like, yeah.
Feels
that's
good,
all cardio,
dude.
man. It's all that one to get that deep one. That's just all cardio.
Yep. I've been stretching in the mornings, man. Let me tell you something.
Nice.
Before you laugh. I don't think you would. You're all about optimization.
Yeah, I'm all for this.
Been doing stretches for the past 2 weeks. I told Adam to start doing it because he's been trying to get up earlier. Stretches in the morning for like 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, right? Just full out stretches, lower body, some upper body stuff. I can't tell you how much better I feel from like a mobility perspective. No one wants to hear this, but I'm telling you anyway, because Josh and I are having a conversation. Feels great.
I don't do it enough. I know that I should. I know that I need to. I've never been a particularly like flexible person. They just opened some like stretching gym, so to speak, pretty close to me, where like they'll hook you up on a table and like
they put you all around. Rack. They Mel Gibson you from Braveheart.
Kind of, yeah. But I'm gonna go try that out and see if I can like maybe once a week go and just get like limbered up a bit. But I need to be like way more diligent about it.
Just do it for 5 minutes in the morning. It feels
I know.
awesome.
Trust me, I think about it constantly. Yeah. It's written down on lists of things that I should be doing, and then I just fucking don't.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I'd pay for a stretching gym, but just 5-10 minutes a day feels great.
I mean, I bet it's great. I mean, it's better. It's probably better for us than most of the things we spend our money on. That's
a great point. That's a great point. But I'm saying
it's not like but mattresses. I'll never understand why people don't spend more on their sleep but they'll do it on their car type stuff. Like you're going to be in there for a third of your life. Get the best thing that you could lay on.
I spent a ton of money on one of those mattresses in a box. Let me tell you something. Some of those are legit, dude.
Hell yeah.
What a difference it makes. What a difference. But yeah, that's a good, the problem is the people that go, man, I can't afford that. I can't afford that stretch gym right now. Therefore I will not stretch. You know what I mean? Like I can't afford a gym right now. Therefore I will not go to a gym. You get out of here with that nonsense. That's all.
Well, it's saying. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to get a $1,500 TV. It's like, okay, well,
I'm glad you're feeling good. I'm feeling good. Hopefully you guys are feeling great as well. Now, Nate, I tried yoga once. Maybe I could do it now. My wife will attest to this. I got so pissed off that I couldn't do it properly and just threw my laptop across the room. It was really a strange outburst many years ago, but I don't
do it. I've never done it. I want to do it, but I can't do it at my house. I need to go somewhere. So
that's what I would have to do.
Yeah. I need like 6 months of yoga training.
People were making fun of me too for the Wim Hof. Adam always does. We're going through a tough time. You were going through a tough time a few months ago, and you hit me up and you go, I've been doing Wim Hof every morning, and it's changing everything.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to do.
It's awesome.
Your whole body starts tingling, and you're just like, oh,
you're
man,
releasing
okay.
DMT, natural DMT. You're releasing.
We need to just go to Peru or something, man.
Get a shaman.
Yeah. I think there's a spot in Maine, but we could have that conversation offline.
I'm afraid to do DMT because this is just such a polluted thing up here. For those of you podcast listeners, I'm pointing to my head that I'm worried what might come out. Now, would it cleanse the soul? Would it cleanse me? Yes. I'm nervous of what that process would look like. It might feel, because you feel like you're never coming back once you blast off.
I'm in for it, man. It's probably better somewhere
If you want to
else.
go, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Don't start saying that, man. It'll happen. And then you're okay.
I would.
Are you going to do like 1/10 of it, like the hockey chip? Just tell me you did the whole thing.
First of all, dude, if you know anything about my history, no, I'm not going to do 1/10 of it.
I was just trying to mock you for the hockey chip. It wasn't
I
a real
get where
comment.
you're going with that. And that was well over half, and I won the bet. Happy to have you guys with us as always. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to it. It's 39 thumbs. We could do better than that. Atone for your sins here. We're feeling good today. We're going to have a great show. Subscribe to the channel, listening in podcast form. We know you're out there. Leave a rating or review. Subscribe to the pod. Tell your friends about the show and leave a comment on YouTube if you're watching after the fact. Yeah, let's get into it. All right. Well, here's what I'm thinking. I need to know where you're at on. Before we got 3 games. We're going to dive into those just a second. But I think everybody wants to know where you're at on the Draymond Green situation yesterday. I tweeted yesterday. Or this morning, I personally think it was egregious. You could say what you want about Sabonis, right? Like, I'm not necessarily defending that, even though I can't really tell if he was grabbing him or whatnot. I think he was full out chest stomp though, especially when you slow that down. I mean, you're a contrarian, so I know where you're going to end up on this, but full out chest stomp. Especially with Draymond Green's reputation in the postseason, terribly dumb move. Also, if you want to be the person that's like, it's hard to control your emotions in a situation like that. Yeah, it kind of is, but you have to, and that's no excuse. Floor is yours.
I think he did exactly what he should have done.
I knew you are Skip Bayless, dude. When it comes to this, you are Skip Bayless.
Now, look, the moment if Draymond Green just stomps in the middle of Domantas Sabonis, he should get the gate and he should be suspended. That's not what happened. Sabonis unequivocally grabs his leg. There's no debating that happened. At that moment, that foot's coming down somewhere. You're off balance right out of the gate. Did he put a little extra stank on it? He absolutely did, and he should have. I don't blame him at all for it. If he's suspended, it's insane. I don't think that he should have gotten thrown out. I think that's a stretch too, particularly in the playoffs, particularly in a matchup where it's Sacramento Golden State, where these teams are separated by an hour. Like, it's a flagrant one to Draymond. It's a personal foul on Sabonis, and you go about your business. To me, that's the easiest thing in the world. The moment you grab him, you cannot blame Draymond for the next thing that happens.
He was hardly grabbing him.
It's the middle of his chest, too. Like, if he stops him in the face, it's a different story. He hit him right in the middle of the chest. Like, it's just, where is he supposed to put his foot other than he just falls? He just put a little extra, fine. He put the cigarette out on him.
No, you're right. I mean, caving in someone's chest cavity seems more appropriate than
caving in. Nothing happened to him.
I'm kidding.
Nothing happened to him. If it were soccer, where you're coming down with cleats in someone's chest, different story. They're basketball shoes.
You know what was funny though, when they were like, Sabonis is getting X-rays on his chest and lungs.
Yeah,
because
shut up. That's stupid.
When I saw that, I was like, all right, we may have gone a bit overboard here. Maybe they're vying for a suspension, which, by the way, as far as the Kings organization goes, that's pretty smart. Like, you should publicize. You can't disagree with that. Like, you should publicize that he's getting X-rays on his chest and lungs.
Yeah, which is very clearly not relevant because,
of course not. Of course not.
Like, if he never came back to the game, it'd be like, okay, maybe he needed those X-rays. But,
But I think still.
By the way, I want to add one quick thing here. I was massively underweight to Draymond. Him getting thrown out is way better for me financially than it was the other direction. So it's not like I had 85% Draymond and that's what I'm advocating for. I was well under the field.
I still don't think that I still think it was overboard, and I think it was avoidable. Like, you can take what Sabonis did and still not go, yeah, you know what? Draymond should have chest stomped. Like, I still don't think it was necessary. By the way, when I talk about this stuff, I really don't care. When I see people on Twitter with this, you know, they'll spend a day talking about this. I don't actually like.
No.
That's basketball.
I won't think about this again after, like, I don't, unless other morons on Twitter are like going to constantly rope me in for this take. Like, I don't, I'll never give a shit. It's gone in my brain.
This may come off wrong, but that type of stuff, kind of good for the game. I mean, it makes people talk. It gets people interested. You know, you see that egregious stuff. But no, I don't think what Draymond did was necessary whatsoever.
Necessary?
Where was Draymond supposed to put his foot? Here's the problem. Okay. And this is where I would almost agree with you, Boss Bro, until this. At no point did he even try to release his foot. He realized that there may have been a slight hold and immediately went to the stomp. There was no like one, you know, like that. There was no lunge whatsoever. It was just, I feel it, straight stomp it out.
Yeah, as it should have been. As it should have been.
Oh, you think the moment he felt anything, he should have just stomped him out?
The moment you try to take a step and you can't move forward any further because some other guy is anchoring you, yeah, you clean him out.
You clean him out.
Look, to me, it's easy. It's just foul on Sabonis, flagrant one on Draymond. I don't think he should have got the gate. Just not in that kind of game, man. Like there's just too much going on.
I knew for sure that you'd be on this side and it would make for a fun conversation. All right.
And look, yeah, that's the key part I want to get through is that I don't have a vested interest in it. It was better for me for that to happen by a lot.
Atlanta and Boston. You ready to talk about a little bit of this?
I am, I guess.
I was thinking about this game this morning. I don't really think Atlanta's outmatched, Josh. I just think Boston has better players.
Is that not the same thing?
All right.
It would be a pretty close matchup if you got rid of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah, he called it. There we go. Yeah.
Hatch it all away.
Okay, gotcha.
I didn't want to give you the satisfaction at first.
Yeah, I'd say pretty even team outside of Boston having all of the better players. Now, listen, Trey's great. DeJounte Murray's a good player, but this is a huge mismatch. There's no doubt. Yeah. And you know why it's the biggest mismatch? And this is like John Madden analysis here. Atlanta has a good offense. Their defense stinks. Boston has a great offense, better than Atlanta, and a elite defense. So Atlanta can't just get into a shootout with them and assume that everything's going to go according to plan. Looking at this spot, 10.5 point line, doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I think, you know, maybe Atlanta in game 2 comes in and hangs around for a little bit because last game was brutal. I know they cut the deficit in the second half last game, but at no point was that even remotely competitive.
No, it wasn't. And just to put it out there, Jalen Johnson questionable for today. We have seen him being like one of the potential value guys that you can get to. So just keep an eye on that heading into the first game.
Hold on. SMP said the Hawks just need to focus on scoring 130 points per game. So yeah, exactly.
I mean, they kind of do. That's the real problem here.
But that's just common sense.
I think the Hawks are a really tricky team because I think 1 through 8 relative to salary, they look very similar. And you're seeing that in the ownership. Oddly enough, the only two guys, like I'm going to throw Jalen Johnson in the garbage for right now, but the only two guys that are sub 10% in ownership for the Hawks are DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, which is really like just not what you would expect to see. Murray at 8K with the MPE, Trae at 9K. I got them both in for 38 minutes. I'm pretty much neutral on both. I'm kind of neutral on this whole game. Like DeAndre Hunter looks interesting at 4,500, small forward, power forward. He ended up playing 29.5 minutes on Saturday. You know, you figure he's getting somewhere in that 28 to 30 range again, properly owned as far as I can tell. You know, it's just not a good spot for Atlanta. Collins got the bigger minutes. He got to 29 on Saturday. We saw him play a little bit differently in that first play-in game, but if he's playing 29 minutes, power forward center, that's at least mildly interesting. You've got this relationship between Collins and Bey and Bogdanovich, where like somebody in that group of 3 ends up having, I guess you could include Hunter to a degree. Somebody ends up having to be the odd man out there. And when you start muting those guys a little bit across the board, they all start to look very similar. So John Collins is the highest owned guy. I agree with it. Hunter's ownership, I agree with. Clint Capella is in at 5,800, 16% owned. I agree with it. Bogdanovich. Bay is the only guy that concerns me. He's 16% owned right now, 4,500. Could he be the guy that gets 30 plus minutes today? Sure. Like he got 33 in that Tuesday game in the first round of the play-in tournament. He could get that bump, but I feel like 16% ownership is assuming that he's already getting it. Only played 24 this in game one. He's the guy that I'm a little bit more concerned about. And then if you want to go to Okongwu, assuming something happens to Capella, reasonable, already 16% owned, so scares me a little bit, but you know what you're getting with Okongwu at least.
Yeah, for a 3-game slate, none of these guys are really that popular at all. John Collins getting some, but essentially everybody under 20% on a 3-game slate. It is a difficult matchup. You're talking about a great Celtics team. Now S&P was being facetious, calling back to yesterday, and I mean, obviously we understand how this works, but it is true. The only real way that Atlanta stays competitive today is in the event that you're talking about a spot where they have to get into a shootout with them, or it's one of those off nights for Boston or for any team where they just can't knock down a 3. It happens. I get that, but it's not something we necessarily expect to happen. Boston was second in the regular season in defensive efficiency, and they were second in offensive efficiency. Atlanta was 7th in offensive efficiency, and they were what? Like 22nd in defense. So it's I'm not shocked. I guess what I'm saying is I'm not shocked at all to see that these Atlanta players aren't getting a ton of ownership today. I wanted to ask one more guy here. I know you touched on it briefly, but what do you do with a guy like Onyeka Okongwu, who has the per minute ceiling if he gets out there, but his minutes are going to be, and in a tough matchup, no doubt, especially tougher than we saw that opening game. What do you make of him if he plays another 20 minutes?
He's fine. You know, he's going to look like a lot of other 4K guys that'll just be in that area. I mean, if you're rostering Okongwu, you're crossing your fingers that Clint Capella gets in the foul trouble. That's all that we're talking about here. Could Okongwu just have a big day in 19 minutes and go for like 28 fantasy points? Yeah, like he's talented enough to do that in the second unit, but I don't think that there's like much to say there. You know exactly how they're running their center rotation. They basically played 47 minutes alongside of each other on Saturday. They had 1 or 2 minutes at the end when they were still behind, where they went to Collins at the 5. I don't think that they're going to actively be trying to do that in this spot. So, you know, you take your chances. Just pay attention to all of the backup centers and try to evaluate them as a collective, not just any individual.
And also, Capella never gets into foul trouble.
Well, now you're saying it.
It's true though. He averages 2.8 fouls per 36. For a big man, that is a very, very low number.
Oh, for the past 5 seasons, percentile for foul rate, 86, 84, 85, 72 last year, 88th percentile this year. He just doesn't commit fouls. You're right.
Yeah. He doesn't.
But now that you say Capella never gets in foul trouble,
bring 5 fouls in the first half.
Oh yeah, they're going 24-24.
I'm not saying it can't happen, obviously.
Yeah,
but also Boston doesn't exactly revolve around dominant big men in the post or in the paint either.
No, not so much. That's they're going to be playing this one a little bit differently. It's not just Horford banging in the down low on the blocks. It's not even Rob Williams banging down low on the blocks. We're talking about pick and roll partners and stuff like that. Now, can they get to the rim? I mean, not really. Boston was 25th in shots at the rim this year. So like they're not even the type of team that's going to be attacking Clint Capella. So you have to assume Capella is getting like 27, 28 minutes today.
Boston jacks up a ton of threes is what they do.
The
only team with a higher 3-point frequency or 3-point attempts per game, however you want to look at it this season, was the Golden State Warriors. The only team. Boston mirrors the Warriors in some ways like that. You know, they don't have dominant bigs that are going to bang down low. They got a lot of guys that are going to space the floor, knock down threes, just dominant, athletic, long players. And I think when you're looking at the Celtics today, you couldn't ask for a better matchup than Atlanta. So now we just have to more so dive into which one of these guys is going to be which one of these guys are the best plays, because the matchup on paper is really good, but Boston also has a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things. We've got Derek White at 5,300 on DraftKings, point guard, shooting guard, getting a lot of ownership. Tatum, Jaylen Brown up. Jaylen Brown's not very expensive today.
No.
So a lot of Boston in a great spot, getting a lot of love, and for good reason.
Oh, absolutely. And like we've got 186% aggregate ownership going to Boston. I have 187. This slate is so flat that I'm not really seeing a lot of separation, at least not in this first game. Like we've got Tatum, 9,800 small forward, power forward. I mean, that price is amazing for him today.
Yeah.
He's 39% owned. The problem is everybody's price is sort of amazing at the top. So it really becomes this situation where you have to pick and choose. There's not like an obvious funnel. Like I've got 33% of Tatum. We're talking, 40 minutes, 32% usage, 20-ish percent assist rate. I think Jaylen Brown looks great, 8,500. The better MPE, slightly less playing time, 30% owned already, should be 31% usage. Horford played massive minutes in game one. I gave him 34 today, but he played 38 on Saturday. They did not play Grant Williams at all. I assume Grant Williams is not going to be in the rotation again today. Everything went well for Boston. You don't need Grant. Like, there's not somebody on Atlanta that they need Grant Williams for. So I assume he continues to just not play. So you get a really nice day out of Horford at 5,500. I think Derek White is the best play for Boston. He ended up playing 38.5 minutes. I think his defense and his mobility fits this series a little bit more than some others. You don't need the strength of Marcus Smart when it comes to guarding Trae Young or DeJounte Murray. So I'm very happy to get to the chalky Derek White. I don't have much interest in Marcus Smart. Public doesn't seem to either. I don't have that much interest in Malcolm Brogdon, but to me, he's the guy that could get more playing time. Only played 21.5 minutes on Saturday. I think Brogdon is more likely to see a minutes bump than Marcus Smart would be. So I don't hate getting to Brogdon, but I still only have same as the field. And then you got Time Lord, 4,900 for today, center only, 12% owned. He played 22 minutes on Saturday. They just didn't need him to do anything else. I gave him 24 for today. I'm 2x on Robert Williams. If he maintains this like sub-teens level of ownership, I think he's the most interesting Boston guy because they might just not want to put all of those miles on Al Horford. And maybe you get 26 minutes out of Robert Williams instead of 22 so that you can play Horford 34 instead of 38. To me, that's the path that's most interesting.
I'm glad you mentioned this because Robert Williams over his last 2 games of the regular season, and this is more so just to point out that he can get these minutes, not that he necessarily will. 25 minutes against Toronto on the 7th of April. And the game 2 days before that against the Toronto Raptors on the 5th, he played 31 minutes. Now, Al Horford was out that game, but it does at least give you the idea that if you wanted to play Robert Williams 26 minutes, 27 minutes, he could. He didn't play the remaining 9.5 minutes of that game against Atlanta. It was a rout from start to finish. Yes, of course, they cut the lead within, I think, 13 to begin around the beginning of the fourth quarter, but it was never really in that much doubt. And I'm not shocked to see that he came out with 2.5 minutes gone in the fourth quarter. I'm with you here. That price point to me on a guy like Robert Williams, who averages north of a fantasy point per minute against this Atlanta team, it seems like he's getting not enough ownership right now.
Yeah, he's the guy that I think is just the most interesting GPP play. But like Tatum, Brown, Horford, White, all very easily better overall plays than Williams. But if he's going to maintain low ownership, the fact that he's sub 5K now, we got to remember there's no like we don't drown in value in these slates. So finding a guy like that where it doesn't take much for him to get more playing time. Al Horford foul trouble. Atlanta, the game just being closer and them needing defensive possessions. Because they don't need him if they're up 15. Like, you don't need to lock that down. You're more worried about him being ready for the Eastern Conference Finals and the finals in those scenarios. So they're not going to put, I don't think they're going to put unnecessary miles on him, but there's no reason he can't get more than 21.7 minutes today.
Double R said, what adjustments can the Hawks make to make this game more competitive? Is there anything they can do, like how Brooklyn did adjust-wise by going small? Listen, Brooklyn adjusted by going small. Sixers just played terrible in the first half. Harden shot miserably. They still won by 13. Sixers still covered a double-digit spread in that game. So
Brooklyn ran out of gas.
Yeah, but I'm saying those adjustments can only go so far when you're outmatched as much as you are. I'm not being facetious here. In my opinion, and maybe you have different thoughts, you just need Boston not to be making threes in a game. Like you need Boston not to play well and not to knock down threes as we've seen them do, because threes are, volatile in some sense. I don't see any adjustments that you can make that just put you on a level playing field with Boston, no matter what you try to do.
No, this is just it. They're just not cut out to like take on a team of Boston's like abilities. There's not. I don't think that there's anything they can do. They just don't have. They don't have the necessary resources to make this be different.
Most teams,
I mean, there's a reason that Boston is minus 2,500 to win this series right now.
Right. But I'm saying most teams in this entire league can't make the adjustments to compete with Boston across 7 games.
No, like Atlanta just doesn't have it. Like, what are you're going to give Sadiq Bey more minutes? It's not like you're looking at it and thinking like, well, maybe if we put AJ Griffin out there, they don't have a break in case of emergency scenario here.
Yeah, Sir Manning said only way Atlanta wins is if Boston misses a ton of shots and Atlanta plays perfectly. Yeah, it's basic analysis, but you're right. There's really no other way. Atlanta can't make mistakes. All right. New York and Cleveland Cavaliers. Before we do though, Josh, did you know at Bet365, if you're in Colorado, New Jersey, Virginia, or Ohio, you bet $1 single and get $200 in bet credits?
I know that because I read it on the banner at the top of the screen.
$200 for $1. Imagine someone walks up to you on the street. I mean, with you've talked about you wouldn't even pick a 20 up off the street, but
Still true.
Would you pick $200 off? Would you pick 2 $100 bills off the street?
So like I would pick them up, but I would be looking around to find out if anybody realized that they had lost them.
Right. But you would agree that most people see that their eyes light up. Two $100.
I just don't trust it. Now I think that fucking Ashton Kutcher is going to like pop out of the bushes or something.
Yeah. Or they're going to be on a fishing line and you're going to look silly.
Yeah. That's part of it's my mistrust for everybody. There's no mistrust. Bet365 isn't yanking it away from you.
That's what I'm saying though. I always use this as a way to kind of elucidate this. If someone came up to you on the street and was like, give me $1 and I'll give you 200, you'd think that something odd was going on. I bet at 365, they've been around forever. You know it's legit. Of course, if someone said, give me $1 and I'll give you 200, many of us would probably do it regardless, because the worst case scenario, let's say it's a scam. At the end of the day, you're only down $1, but you got a shot to make 200. In this case, you're getting 200 regardless. You could lose your bet. Doesn't matter. You don't have to win, and you're getting $200 no matter what. Virginia, Colorado, New Jersey, and Ohio. Use the link in the description. Use the link in chat, okay? Either one will get you there. Takes a minute to sign up, minute to find your bet. You can put it on whatever you want. My recommendation, just put it on a fat, longest odds parlay you can find, because you're only playing $1 and you know on the other side you're getting $200. Think about it. Sign up using the link. You're getting essentially $200 to take 2 minutes of your day and use your fingers a little bit and sign up. You could run it up to 4 or 5 figures. We showed the screenshot of our buddy Ginger Hammers doing it. Said this promo is insane. He posted a 1-week window of him taking the $200 promo and turning it into $1,450 or whatever it was. Maybe that's you. If it's not, and you lose it all, at the end of the day, you're down $1. Deposit 10. You only have to play one of those. If you win, you get your payout and you get your 200 in bonus bets. If you lose, you still get your 200. I mean, as big a no-brainer as it comes. Must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, Virginia, New Jersey, Ohio. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Josh of Los Angeles, you only lose $1 if it's a scam, is the greatest addition to this read ever. It's true, man. It's true. It's easy to do reads when it's the most obvious promo you're going to find.
Sure is.
Right. Next up, let's keep going with this one. New York and Cleveland. That was a fun game the other day that you probably didn't even know was happening.
Didn't see this one.
Yeah. But New York Knicks 5.5-point dogs. They got the road win, outright win against Cleveland in game 1. 213.5 total here. Josh Hart's doubtful for this one. On top of that, he played big minutes and had a really impressive game in game 1. How do we want to approach the Knicks up top today? And I assume that when you look at Julius Randle, we just have to, because he played, I was unsure that he was going to play, but 34 minutes, high usage again. Where do we start with guys like him and Jalen Brunson?
So this is the worst team on today's slate, and it's kind of crazy because you take out 30 minutes of Josh Hart or 28 minutes or whatever you were going to project him for game 1. And you reestablish those across the teams, and it's just like, well, nobody's there. Like the highest owned guy is 19% for Jalen Brunson. You get 15 for Grimes, 15% for Isaiah Hartenstein. That's more than Mitchell Robinson, but like that's it. This is as bad of a matchup as you can get defensively. And the pricing here is like a little high across the board because you're giving Quickly more minutes. Easily. You're giving Quentin Grimes significantly more minutes now with no Josh Hart around. Maybe you're bringing Miles McBride into the rotation. Maybe you're bringing Evan Fournier into the rotation. Maybe you're making it just 8 guys and you're really giving out those minutes. That is on the table. But even then, like 6,800 for small forward RJ Barrett, Josh Hart's out. He's 4% owned. There's something here for the Knicks as sort of like a pivot at low ownership and GPPs, but they do not look good individually. And I don't like the Knicks in this game. So that makes me feel a little bit better to be light here because I really like the Cleveland side, independent of Josh Hart, independent of DFS salaries. I just assume Cleveland wins. And right now, the highest exposed guy that I have for the Knicks is 4.5% to Brunson and 4.5% to Randall.
Wow.
I find the Knicks incredibly difficult to get to.
Do you have any Hartenstein?
No. And that's probably a testament to him already being 15% owned. But like,
right.
I do think it's interesting that Hartenstein and Okongwu are both 15% owned. Like that's making that choice becomes difficult.
Well, that's just a testament to this slate as well. There's just these playoff slates are not going to give us a lot of value. And then, Mitchell Robinson played 26 minutes in that game. Maybe there's more upside for minutes, but he's a 0 in the points department. You're relying on stocks and rebounds. He's not exactly cheap. You're right. There's really not much here to go with. And plus, Emmanuel Quickly without Jalen Brunson is a lot different than Emmanuel Quickly without Josh Hart.
Yeah, it's a very different situation because we're not creating usage in this scenario.
Create minutes, but not Jalen Brunson, 40 minutes starting lineup as your primary ball handler for nearly the entire game.
Yeah, it changes everything. I mean, we're talking about Brunson being a very high usage guy. When he's not around, someone's got to take those shots. When Josh Hart's not around, you probably lose opportunities at this point because that dude doesn't shoot.
And shit, man, Quickly was playing these games where he was going insane without Brunson and without Randall for a little stretch there.
Yeah. No, it becomes very different. If you just look at playoff rotation guys, so I could take Randall, Hartenstein, Brunson, Robinson, Barrett, Grimes, Toppin, Quickly. I take those 8 guys and I say, all I want are the minutes played and the rates when some combination of those 5 guys are on the floor. They've played a ton together this season. So much so, in fact, that you can make a 5-man combination of those guys and you can get to 700 minutes played for Emmanuel Quickly. So Quickly's played 700 minutes with 4 other guys that are in their playoff rotation. He's got a 16% usage rate in that time.
I'm not surprised by that.
Like I tried to be a little bit more optimistic. I went to 18, but he doesn't get that same boost because Brunson and Randall are both around here. So like you're giving him extra minutes. I think the guy that's probably like the easiest guy to want to get to is Grimes. Just because he's shooting guard, small forward. So you get that MPE. He's 4,700. So that price tag looks pretty good. And then he's live to play massive minutes. I mean, would it be surprising at all if Quentin Grimes got to 40 today? No. I mean, we saw him with RJ Barrett out get pretty easily up to 40. I don't know how Hart is going to change that game, but like somebody's going to get a significant bump in minutes. And it's very hard to tell who it is. But, if Grimes is going to be 15% owned and RJ Barrett's going to be 4%, is RJ Barrett the guy that you should take the shot at? Because RJ Barrett in 1,000 minutes with just playoff rotation guys is still at a 25% usage rate. Him not getting any ownership is very interesting. But again, you never know what RJ Barrett, maybe he plays 31 minutes and they play Grimes 40. Like, I don't trust the minutes coming in here. If they cut to 8 guys, I'll regret not having more Knicks. If they keep it at 9, I don't think they look that good.
I'm a little surprised you don't have more Brunson just because 66 games played with Randall, 1.13 DraftKings points per minute. The weird thing is he only played 30 minutes last game. Because you would think Brunson with the playing time he was getting in the regular season if he played the 38, 40 minutes here, I know it's not a good matchup, but he's sub 8K and he's in games with Randall, 28% usage, 28% assist rate, 1.13 DraftKings points per minute.
I gave him 38 minutes. I think that I have him projected pretty well. The problem is it's just this, it's the spot, obviously. Knicks are 25th in pace. Cleveland dead last in pace. So this is a slow game. It's clearly a good Cleveland defense. So if you look at Jalen Brunson as a 1.15 fantasy point per minute guy, he's actually like a 1.05 fantasy point per minute guy in this spot, because of defense, because of pace. So like, do I like him? Yeah, I think he's fine. DeJounte Murray is 1/5 or 1/4 the ownership, $100 more expensive. I don't think that those guys are all that different if you're looking to make, like a GPP pivot. But then I look at someone like Darius Garland, who's $500 cheaper, opposite side of this matchup, getting a little bit more ownership. But I would much rather, I think Garland just looks significantly better. I see Jalen Brunson as like a good, not great option for today.
All right. How do we
clearly can smash? I mean, like if he goes for north of 40 fantasy points, you're pretty happy about it.
Right. It was weird that he only played less than 30 minutes though. And I know he was coming. I know he was returning from that injury, but it wasn't a lower body injury. It was a hand injury. So that was a little bit surprising to me. They still got the win, but
so he lost a bunch of playing time in the second quarter. He picked up a third foul and they didn't bring him back in at all in the second quarter. He could have very easily picked up another rotation.
How much time did he miss in the second quarter?
I mean, up as many as 6 minutes.
That's significant.
He was running a staggered rotation. In theory, he could have come in at any point in time to close out the rest of that second quarter. But 5-6 minutes seems like would be like a pretty reasonable rotation to close out a quarter.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think, and they weren't. I'm surprised they didn't bring him back in. Who gives a shit about guard fouls like that? But
no, you're right though. But no, you're right because, it's a matter of how much of that was made up for in the second half. But he did play 11. He played 20 minutes in the second half. So there you go. There you go. You're right. I saw. So
I think 38 for him as a projection today is fine. I wouldn't read into 29.5.
Me neither. No, not at all. Listen. I saw he had 3 fouls. I just assumed with 3 fouls he wasn't in foul trouble, but he caught them all 3 of them very early.
And he caught 2 in the first 4 minutes of the game and came out. So he lost a little bit at the tip of his first rotation too.
No question. He definitely missed some time. 38, he probably plays 40 today when I look at it now. All right. What do you want to do with Cleveland starting at the top with Mitchell and Garland and Mobley?
Play all things Cleveland. I have so much Cleveland today. It's insane. So we're going to need to walk this through. Garland and Mitchell are basically the same ownership. If I'm getting that, I'm going to Garland. 7,400 for Garland, 9,200 for Mitchell. Not trying to talk anybody out of going to Donovan Mitchell. He's clearly a decent play, but you've got Durant, $100 more expensive, Leonard, $200 more expensive, Trae Young, $200 under him. There are a lot of comparable options around Mitchell. 7,400 for Garland looks better. And these guys played massive minutes, and they're going to play massive minutes again today unless it's a blowout. 43.5 for Mitchell, 43 for Garland, 43 for Allen, and another 38 for Mobley. So I have a ton of Darius Garland, 65% right now. I am light on Mitchell. I was light on Mitchell on Saturday, and obviously that didn't feel great. Evan Mobley, 7,100. Jared Allen, 6,500. You pay the extra $600 to buy power forward eligibility on Mobley. Both guys are 37% owned. Both guys were in my top 5 on DraftKings for contenders. They look exceptional. They're playing at least 37 minutes, barring foul trouble, upwards of 40 if they can. There's nobody behind Mobley or Allen. There's no matchups where these guys get played off the floor. And if the Knicks are going to play a center for 48 minutes, then Jared Allen's going to be out there as long as he can be out there. All 4 of those guys look amazing. Mitchell is the guy I want the least because there's other options, but he's also Donovan Mitchell. Where it really gets crazy is the bench. Because I think 6% Isaac Okoro at 3,700 for a small forward is crazy from an ownership perspective. Don't like it, but it's crazy. I think Chetty, 3,500 power forward only at 4% ownership. I think that's crazy. I don't think it should be massive, but both of those numbers are too low. If you're getting 15% ownership to Onyeka Okongwu and 15% ownership to Isaiah Hartenstein, I see Isaac Okoro and Chetty Osman as guys that you can get to. Maybe it's Dean Wade, who they did go to. It went very poorly. Basically, everything that they tried went pretty poorly from a bench perspective. Karis LeVert was awful, played 18 minutes. He's getting 17% ownership. If Karis LeVert's getting 17, I'm much more interested in Okoro or Chetty and thinking that's where I can get the value today.
Donovan Mitchell, 23% owned. It actually seems low given his, I mean, and I'm not saying he's cheap, because he's not necessarily cheap. He played 44 minutes.
He did.
44 minutes in that game. Do you have his usage on hand? I mean, he got up 30 field goal attempts and 6 free throws.
I
mean, it had to have been.
I don't, but I can get to it quickly. I thought that Popcorn Machine had it, but I guess they don't. Which is weird, right? Like you would think that would be on there.
Yeah, 36%.
Yep, you beat me to it.
Just
30. I got 38 here, but that's neither here nor there.
Usage is
same
weird,
thing.
right? Yeah. I just typed it in the stat muse, but yeah, doesn't matter. 36, 38%, massive usage on Donovan Mitchell. Played almost the entirety of the game. They can't go down 0-2 in the series either.
No, and I don't think they do. Like I really like this spot at home. Like you drop the first one, you're at home. I think this zigs and then zags. But like I look at Donovan Mitchell getting 23% ownership, and then I look at Trae Young getting 9 at $200 cheaper. I don't know how you want to go to Mitchell before you go to Trae Young there, other than just talking about a matchup situation. But like that's just an easy GPP pivot to me.
What's the ownership difference between Mitchell and Trae Young?
23-9.
Yeah, that's significant.
And then again, you have Durant for an extra $100 above Mitchell. Durant played 40-something minutes here in game 1, and they're down as well. Durant is slightly less owned than Donovan Mitchell. Like I'm going to be more interested in Kevin Durant than Donovan Mitchell there.
Yeah, it's fair. But man,
I'm not trying to say that I don't like Donovan Mitchell, but at some point in time, you start drawing lines through some guys. You're just not going to get them as much. Like yesterday, I posted a screenshot of my exposures in our Discord, and I didn't have any Steph. And like the first message that comes up from Prince, who's a dope, is just like, "Oh, I figured you would have at least one lineup with Steph." It's like, so you want me to just play one of 150 just because, so I can hope that the other 7 are there? It's like,
and everything else is perfect in that lineup.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's not. No, I'm not looking at it like that. Like eventually, would I like to play 50% Steph and Mitchell and Durant and Tatum and Brett? Like, yeah, I'd like to play all those guys, but that's why we have a salary cap. You got to cross somebody off at some point. I think it's easiest to cross off Mitchell, but that doesn't undersell how good he is.
Right. No, listen, I get what you're saying. And you do have to clarify sometimes. Plus, you get some people coming into these shows that are newer to the whole, not having someone doesn't mean you think that they're in a bad spot or can't have a big game, but you don't get to play all of the 9K and up guys in the same lineup. So
no, it would be cool if they could. This isn't
if you were playing a single entry tournament, who would be the first high price guy going into your lineup? Like, because you can't play all of them. Who would be the priority there?
Devin Booker.
It would be Booker? Really?
8,700 playing 40 plus minutes, and they lost.
Massive run.
He's 17% owned. I have 75%.
Whoa. You got 75% Booker?
I do. I mean, if you want to be technical, like Jason Tatum's the best guy. I have 33% of him, but like I'm getting to all the Booker. He's 8,700. He's live to play 44 minutes today.
Wow. Yeah, the only thing now is Russell Westbrook just going to really outshine him with another spectacular performance?
I can't with you.
Ready to wrap this up? Russell Westbrook led Clippers and the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah,
I'm just setting up the game. What do you?
You're so bad at your job.
Do you want to should we wrap this up?
Yes, we should wrap this up with the Kawhi Leonard led LA Clippers.
Last game, Phoenix and the LA Clippers in game 1. I mean, just looking back on this beauty that'll go in the historical archives and be thought of forever, just essentially based solely on Russell Westbrook's late game heroics. I think it must be noted. And I think you're in full agreement with me that we look at this game and we'll look back on this series if the Clippers win and go, you know what? The catalyst was the final 1.5 minutes of the game, Russell Westbrook. And I think that's reasonable. I think it's justified.
I have 0% Russell Westbrook right now, and it feels amazing.
Man. Oh, you're in trouble. if you guys are looking to actually see what our boom bust tool has Russell Westbrook at, and actually want to see where ownership has, where we have him at as far as ownership goes, all of our tools are 50% off. Whether you want to do the first week, the first month, you want to do just basketball, you want to do all sports. Hell, a lot of you guys play baseball too. You want to hit that crossover on baseball, get Stochastic plus Platinum 50% off, or just the baseball package. I mean, look, I don't think I even need to say anything. The easiest testimonial is anyone who watches the Hall of Fame segment this week, Josh, where you've got everyone talking about the boom or the top stack, the top pitchers tool. You have Steve Buzzard winning $300,000 in 4 days. I don't really think there's anything that needs to be said as far as like, hey, does this stuff work?
No, it's very, very clear that it seems to be working over and over and over again, at least for Steve. So, and
not just
for
Steve
Eddie,
though. We got a
for
ton
Eddie for basketball. I mean, Eddie won last night.
Yeah. We had a ton of people. Jordan and I did the Stochastic right after you and I finished the show yesterday. We did the Stochastic Hall of Fame, and I'm looking through all the slides, and it's just like, damn, top stack tool crushing, NBA lineup generator crushing, top pitchers tool crushing. It makes you feel good, and then you just see Steve Buzzard laying it down. You mentioned our own Eddie Lai, one of the founders of Stochastic, previously known as Osimo. What did he take down? 100K in NBA?
100K NBA solo shot.
Using these tools because he works on them. 50% off everything. And like I said, if you just want to do a week for like a sport or a month for a sport or every sport, because you got NBA, MLB, NHL, NASCAR, UFC, PGA. Someone pointed out to me in chat yesterday, F1, tennis. Oh, yeah. If they have contests out there, we got all the Josh said it yesterday too, like the top drivers tool, the top fighters tool, the top golfers tool, top pitchers, top stacks, all of that, boom bust ownership. And if you're someone also that's like, you know what, I'm strapped right now. I don't have the time. I don't have the money, but I play a few bucks a day and I'd like to give myself a little bit of an edge and make my life easier building lineups. The lineup generator is less than $4 a week for your first week. You can get in on that, swap players, lock players, run as many lineups as you want, upload them to CSV, save, discard. And obviously it's optimized for mobile too. So you can be sitting there taking a shit after work while the wife and the kids are downstairs and you hear the screaming. I'm definitely not projecting from what my own life has been like.
You definitely are.
I know. I got it pretty easy though, man. My wife's fantastic with that stuff. She puts up with a lot of stuff that most people wouldn't, like me. But that's less than $4.50 a week. Everything's in the chat, in the description. And if you have questions on this stuff, you guys can DM me on Twitter. Anyone that has, I'm always happy to answer. They're open. All right. Clippers, Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Let's get into it, man. Russell Westbrook, only 15% on. Nice little leverage score there, though. 19% optimal, 4% leverage. I want to start, though, not with the highest owned play, but I want to start with Kawhi Leonard because, man, this guy, when it comes playoff time, you're going to get some big games from him. Last time out, nothing extraordinary, but I am interested in where you stand. Forget about positional eligibility for a second, and more so just high-priced guys in the lineup and how they make it work. Because you have Tatum at 9.8, Durant at 9.3, Mitchell at 9.2, Trey at 9K, and then Kawhi Leonard in the middle, kind of bookended there at 9,400, or not bookended by those guys. Sorry.
I like him. I think he fits more like Donovan Mitchell than the other guys. I'd rather get to Tatum, and I'd rather get to Durant, and I don't have much else to say. Like, I gave him 40 minutes at 9,400. It's a great price tag, but these guys just all look very similar at the top. You start just having to make some decisions. If you particularly like Kawhi, I wouldn't talk anybody out of it. Like, you can massage those ownerships at the top in any sort of way and not be wrong. I just happen to have Kawhi Leonard behind the other guys at the top end. He's not the same per minute guy. Like, he's a 1.25 guy, and all of these other guys around him are going to be just slightly higher. And that's just sort of the difference here. No reason that he can't smash, though.
Right. Russell Westbrook, 36 minutes last game. I mean, look, kind of a ho-hum shooting performance. Nothing to write home about. It was fine. They flirted with a triple-double, had 9 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 stocks in the game, a couple big blocks laid on, and a few of those rebounds were offensive rebounds at the end of the game. Very impactful ones, one might say. I don't have an opinion on it. But what do you want to do with Russell Westbrook today? You say you have 0 right now. he's going to play big minutes, presumably, and he does get the counting stats, but not one of your favorite players. I presume that's just kind of what I've gleaned from our conversations in the past.
I mean, I have none right now. 15% ownership seems about right. I am worried about the minutes. Like I gave him 34. He played 36 and a half on Sunday. I can't see a scenario where like that's a goal moving forward. The fact that they won is helpful because I think it's a lot easier to like make wholesale changes off of a loss than in comparison to a win. But I don't know. Like I don't see a scenario where you could want to go to 36 on Westbrook, especially with the way that the Clippers bench looked in that game. I mean, they got saved by massive plus minuses for everybody on the bench. So I understand getting to him. I think 15% ownership is about right. I'm cool with not having him. I'm anxious to see if he shoots a lot today. We'll see that. I like the analog to Westbrook, actually. 3,800 for point guard, shooting guard Terrence Mann. Played 24 minutes, played alongside Westbrook. Massive plus minus yesterday. Closed the game as well. When I said yesterday, I meant, in game one. But Terrence Mann closed, which I think is pretty interesting over Nick Batum. Could he get additional run at the end of the second quarter today? Potentially, maybe. If it's really not working for Westbrook again, do they just go to a little bit more Terrence Mann to try to balance everything? Maybe. 14% owned, sub 4K price tag. I think he's the first guy that we've mentioned sub 4K that is at least interesting to me. That's a spot that I like to try to save a little bit of salary so that I can go to some other things. And it works perfectly for me on the off chance that Ty Lue is just like, yo, man, you can't be 3 for 19 from the field again.
I hear you. I don't think that was the comment. All right, I'll stop.
We're good. I got you.
I don't think that was a conversation. I think the conversation, he came up to him, put his arm around him and said, hey, a heck of a job in crunch time, pal.
I don't think the Ty Lue was thinking like that.
I don't think so either. The Zubats play always intrigues me because Zubats, you and I talked about this at length the other day, where he's just one of those players that Zubats could have a bad game, or this is exactly what I was saying the other day, or he could play 30 minutes and then you've got a lot of upside. Did he have a huge performance? No, he had no dimes, which is, par for the course, but no stock upside. 31 fantasy points in 30 minutes, 12.15 rebound, double, but he did play 30 minutes in the day. I want to say, like, these are volatile minutes. I'm not locking Zubats in for 30 every time he plays, but when you do get that upside in playing time from Zubats at 5K, there's always a little bit of interest there. The only question now is, how do you look at his ownership at 3,200 and know that there's a lot of volatility in playing time and performance for Zubats?
32% owned. I have 16%. Zubats
probably where he should be, really.
Zubats was a team low, -11. Could they give Mason Plumlee more playing time? I don't know why Mason Plumlee's 8% owned, but Isaiah Hartenstein's 15, and who am I missing? Somebody else was like 50. Okongwu was 15. Well, Mason Plumlee's the same thing as those guys. And I don't think it's going to happen, but like, are they going to play Marcus Morris? Is he a piece that gets put in here and they start playing slightly smaller? Because it didn't work with Zubats on the floor. And like, it's not like you want to play Mason Plumlee. So I don't know if they unlock Marcus Morris at all. I forget who was in chat being like, well, if Robert Covington starts, he didn't even play. So stop thinking that you know anything, chat. I can't help myself there.
Yeah.
I'm curious if Morris can work his way in as a small ball 5, but in terms of just looking at like the Zubats Plumlee combo, I think Zubats is pretty massively over-owned at 32%.
Such a strange game too, because the plus minus on all the starters, but Kawhi was in the negative. Kawhi was +3, and the bench, I think I mentioned this to you yesterday morning, the bench compared to Phoenix's bench, that is really where a huge difference was made. Look at
Terrence Mann checked in at the end of the third quarter and was +12 for the rest of the game. Never left the floor.
Who was that? Mann?
Terrence Mann. Yeah.
Terrence Mann +13 in 24 minutes. Bones Highland +13 in 13 minutes. And for what it's worth, I'm not saying like, just change the whole starting lineup. What I'm saying is the Phoenix bench got them into some real trouble yesterday, and the Clippers bench definitely bailed them out of some stuff. Plumlee plus 16 in 17 minutes, Powell plus 11 in 23 minutes. That was really quite a crazy way to look at this game based off both of these benches. But wrap up the Clippers and then we'll talk about the Suns and close this one out.
Yeah, not too much else to say. Like Eric Gordon looks pretty good at 4,400, shooting guard, small forward, really good flexibility. He's 22% owned. It's exactly what I have. It feels like Norm Powell should be able to play a little bit more, but he's 5,200. I don't love the price, but like he's the kind of guy that you should take minutes away from Russell Westbrook if you need to create offense and give them the Norm Powell. Like Eric Gordon can handle secondary creation. Kawhi can handle secondary creation. Norm Powell can handle it. That should all be fine. I can't imagine going to Bones. He got 14 minutes. I think as a playoff series moves on, he's the first guy that's going to lose that time because he's going to get picked on more and more defensively. I think that's everybody.
Okay. What about the Phoenix Suns, DeAndre Ayton? It's a weird spot with Ayton because he had some awful shots, by the way, last game. Still finished with, what were you going to say?
Get yourself some DeAndre Ayton today, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the price point has come down even further, and he still played 33 minutes. And we had talked about usage in the past with Kevin Durant on the floor. DeAndre Ayton got up. I mean, there was no shortage of opportunities for DeAndre Ayton last game. No shortage of minutes. He's not going to play 42 minutes like some of these other guys, but yeah, DeAndre Ayton at that price point, very, very appealing price point on him.
He might.
Maybe.
Bismack Biyombo played 4.7 minutes, minus 11. Jock Landale played 7.5 minutes, minus 8. They couldn't go to either one of these guys.
I just don't see them
plus 13 in 33 minutes.
I 100% agree with that. And that's what I was saying. The bench was terrible, right? And you're just further backing that up. I still think a lot of that, though, if you look at it, a lot of that was the fact that they were behind early and often in that game. And I mean, that's why these guys only played a few minutes, or maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. And you just try and avoid this situation altogether because that bench came out there, like you said, for only a few minutes, and the lead or the deficit grew even further. And then the bench came back out. The Clippers actually had a 9-point lead. Or I'm sorry, the Suns. The Suns had a 9-point lead in the third quarter. If you look at this game flow, the bench comes out and it goes right back to the Clippers having the lead again, which they basically never relinquished.
Yeah, I love it. Like I gave him 34 minutes, but I think he's live for upwards of 38. They don't want to play Bismack Biyombo and Jock Landale. What are we talking? They're already down a game. Look, if they win game one, it's different. But now they can't fuck around. So you just play DeAndre Ayton more and you don't play the assholes that are behind him. Like to me, it's super obvious. So I'm 2xing the 24% we have now. And there's a decent chance that I have even more than that by the time we get to lock, because I don't think the 34 minutes is going to be enough. They don't have other options behind it. They're going to have to run these guys into the ground. I mean, assuming that Popcorn Machine is right, DeAndre Ayton took more shots than Kevin Durant in game one.
I mean, I can tell you. I would assume he did. Kevin Durant was very inactive early in the game. He did. DeAndre Ayton got 18 up. Kevin Durant took 15. But Kevin Durant also 10 free throw attempts. But yeah, 45 minutes. Yeah. Ayton had a 24% usage rate in game one.
Yeah, that should be like, for 24% ownership, that should be alarm bells for everybody. It's like, oh shit, he got that stuff, and they're going to need to play him more because everybody else on their bench is awful. I'm fascinated by Ayton. I think he's the most underrepresented guy today that isn't $8,700 Devin Booker, who for some strange reason is in 17% of the lineup. Somebody's going to have to explain this one to me. It's not like he plays like a position that's made up and you have to, like, he's a shooting guard. This should be very easy to fill. He's better than everything else around him. This one I don't get. He should be pulling much more ownership. I love getting to Devin Booker. To me, the best play on today's slate relative to ownership.
What do you have the usage rates? What were the usage rates for the top three in this game? DeAndre or Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton.
I don't have it up, but I can get to it. I don't know if you'll get to it before I do.
It's fine. Well, you had mentioned the Kevin Durant. I wasn't sure if you had that pulled up on Popcorn Machine, but on AMF or anywhere. I could always go to.
I got it here.
Go ahead.
So we had Durant at 25, Booker 28, Ayton 19 is what I had. Jock Landale 29 in 8 minutes.
At Ayton at 19, that's interesting. That Muse had Ayton at 24%. All right. Huh. Either way, those guys are going to rack up a large majority of usage. What was Chris Paul at?
Yeah. 17. 2 of 8 from the field.
What are you doing with the rest of the Suns then today? Is there anybody else you want to get to?
I'm happy to get to Durant. I think he's properly owned. Wouldn't mind getting to more, but I have 22%. That's what we've got here. Similar story for Chris Paul. He's 25% owned. Seems about right. Torrey Craig looks like a good way to save some salary. Moved into the starting lineup, played 27 minutes and very easily could have played a little bit more. I got him in for 29 today. He's 25% owned. I don't know how you go to the bench. Like they barely played Josh Okogie, so you can't really trust those minutes. They barely played Terrence Ross. They barely played Ish Wainwright. Like they were just throwing anything against the wall and everybody sucked. So,
and Payne is questionable.
Yeah. So like Campaign didn't play on Sunday. And I think that really hurt them for a second unit, like in terms of getting someone else that can create after Chris Paul.
He's a
but
good.
Now, if he plays, you're giving him 10 minutes and that just makes the rest of the bench look worse. I don't know how you go to anybody. Like Landry Shamet's not playing 24 minutes again if Payne is in.
Cameron Payne's a nice little bench player when you need a few minutes to rest your starters.
He was 2 years ago. I don't think he is anymore.
Who would you rather have then on this bench?
Oh no, nobody. They're all bad.
Oh, okay.
They're all bad.
I'm just saying he's better than my God, dude. Landry Shamet.
I'll say this much. It's a very clear testament to how cooked TJ Warren is. Didn't play. No.
Yeah.
Like he obviously doesn't have it.
We got 114 likes, still 500 people watching with us today. People still love basketball, Josh.
They should love, I mean, they probably like our show more than basketball.
I think that's fair. And if you do, and you want to come hang out, listen, our chalkboard app is entirely free if you're not in there yet. About to hit 1,500 people. We just recently started this too. It's all free. All the picks, all the conversation, not just today or for a week. It's always going to be free, right? Always. The app is sick. It's better than, from a betting perspective, it's better than Discord because you can sync your sports books. You have all the game logs already in the chalkboard app. It is really sweet, man. Greg already posted some picks in there every single day. We're doing that. We're hanging out. We're sweating the games together. We celebrate together. We commiserate. If you're not in there yet, and a ton of DFS talk as well. So like if you're not a premium Stochastic sub, or even if you are and you love betting and you want to talk DFS and odd shot and betting and look at the best bets on Odd Shopper and Bet Pro, and you want to do it for free and hang out and become part of a great community, come join us. It'll always be free. Link is in the description. Follow Josh at Josh Engleman. Follow me at Laffy_D. Shout out to Jordan Klein for producing this one. MLB Strategy Show coming up, 12 o'clock Eastern. Neil Orfield, Adam Scher. And then we'll see you again tonight on the Odd Shop, on the Deeper Dive, on Live Before Lock. You got some videos up, I assume, already or coming up.
Contenders are both out. Prize Picks video is out. No House Advantage video coming out shortly. And then I'm back for the Deeper Dive with Adam later tonight.
There you have it, man. We'll see you guys then. Peace.